sights and sounds of earth. The sights and sounds of earth. The sights and sounds of earth.
Hello everybody, yes, this is live right now. This is live. We are north of Tampa, Florida, and I'm getting ready to head down to the interstate here and head home. And I thought, we're testing out a new system, so this is a bit of a test. As always, there's always a new piece of equipment. This time I bought a commercial grade dual SIM card internet router, and what it does is it allows me to put two different SIM cards in it. So it's connected. Yes, it's connected directly to the internet on two different carriers, and I've got an antenna for each carrier on the roof. So this is literally like a whole new thing here. Instead of a little box sitting on my dashboard, I now have this entire system up here, and I can see, looks like everything is on, everything's working. And so what I want you guys to do is let me know if there's any drops, let me know if we lose anything, let me know if it goes out, you know, and we're going to keep an eye on it for, we're going to keep an eye on this for a while. This is about a 2-hour drive, so I'm not in a rush. We're just going to drive it on home. When I get home, I'm gonna take care of the cats. I'm going to check on everything at home, and then I'm going to unload the car, set up the studio. Luckily, most of everything in the car is not necessary for the studio. So that's kind of that's the nice thing, is when I get home, my studio is already about 85% put together. So that's the good news. All right, so we are this is a live drive. My name's Ian. This is Starship Adventures, and we're going to be doing a lot more of this as we go forward, but this is my live streaming setup that I've got here. We're going to be doing a little bit of radio as we're on the way. However, the noise floor here is atrocious, so I'm hoping that maybe as we get outside of town here, the noise floor will come down. You can see there a 10/9 noise floor. Yeah. If you guys are ever wondering what it means, 10/9, well, you just look at that little gauge right there. See the 9 right in the middle? Okay, anything over 9, you just say over 9. So, in other words, if the gauge is on +20, you would say 20/9. And that tells them just about exactly how much noise floor that you have. So that's a real easy way to describe to somebody, how loud is my signal coming in? You're 30/9, you're 40/9. That's the way we let people know how strong their signal is. We can also use that to tell somebody how strong the noise floor is. Floor is simply the threshold for the static. Basically, it's the lowest point of noise, and when the noise floor goes up, it literally masks out signals that are far away. And as the noise floor comes up higher and higher and higher, there's less and less people that you can actually hear. And so that becomes a real problem. All right. It's Sunday afternoon, so the traffic's not bad. This road here during the week is insufferable. None of the lights are synchronized, of course. It's just insufferable. Now, it's not so bad on a Sunday. It was when I came in on Friday night. It was crazy, but it still wasn't too bad because I was already coming in at like 11 o'clock at night. It was. So by then it was busy, but it was down. I've been up here during the week, and this road is just simply gridlock. View looks okay. I've worked on the cameras and the windows and everything. I'm hoping that it's providing you with a little bit better show today than what we've had in the past. I'm looking at some different cameras for the front window. I think I want a wide camera. I want one that'll be a lot wider than the one you're looking at now, and it can take up the whole top of the screen. So, but I am very happy with these cameras so far. The neat thing about these cameras is I can move them remote control. They're both remote controlled, pan tilt zoom, and I paid about $150 a piece for them. They're called Osbot, really good cameras. I bought them for 2 clients already. Where one of the things that I do is I spec out and build radio studios. That's just one of the 5 or 6 different things that I do to make a living. And I have spec'd out systems. All right, there we go. I take us all the way down to tuck it off there and jump over on 41, and that takes me right down near my house. All right, so again, it's basically it's a hot spot, and they call them a jetpack, or they also call them an air card. There's a bunch of different names for these. This one here is through AT&T, which has a good service. It's a little expensive, but not bad. And so,
miles. Use the left 4 lanes to continue straight.
So basically, what ends up happening here is,
I-75 south toward Gables.
with that little jetpack, there's a little wire antenna inside, and I have to set it up on the dashboard, and it has to somehow work like that, and it's difficult.
Continue straight for 160
So what I did
miles
was I bought, oh, shut up, bitch! God damn it. Incessant. Anyway, so this box here, what's different about it is it's the same thing. It's an internet that goes through a SIM card, through a Wi-Fi connection. So it's basically the same thing as the jetpack, except there's 2 fundamental differences. One, this is a commercial grade, commercial quality piece of equipment. It cost $150. The second thing is that where the jetpack was $45. The second thing is this one has 3 antennas, one for the Wi-Fi and then one for each of the cellular companies. So right now there's 2 antennas on my roof, one on the left side, one on the right side, and they're right up here in the front, and the wires come through the sunroof up here. You can probably see that. So you guys are getting the internet service now, not coming through the car, not going to a little box on the dashboard with a little wire antenna about that long. Instead, now we've got antennas on the roof picking up the Wi-Fi signal and relaying our broadcast back to the internet. So This should fix our problems. I do have the AT&T card in it right now. It has the ability to accept a second card. As soon as I start making a little bit more money, I'm going to pay for both cards. All right, I'm going to pay for both cards, which means that when we're driving like this, if one connection begins to fail, it immediately switches to the other, and it will switch back and forth and keep us online. It's a great system, and we've built it into the car here, so it runs off the battery power in the car, so it can stay active. I could park in the parking lot and keep my Wi-Fi signal active for days, just off my car battery. It's kind of neat because everywhere I drive, I have internet already. The speed tests don't come back that great, but for some reason on these speed tests, they never do on these connections, but yet you still seem to get better performance. I know it's kind of weird. Oh, looks like we got a traffic stop up here over on the left on the other lane over there. I still to this day feel that pulling people over up here on the side of the highway is more dangerous than whatever the people were doing to get pulled over. You get somebody that's speeding 10 miles over the speed limit. Is that a big deal? No, because everybody's speeding 10 miles over the speed limit. So what you've just done is you've taken something that's perfectly normal, perfectly benign, and now you've turned it into what could be a life and death situation where we're flying up behind people with lights and sirens screaming and making them pull across 5 lanes of traffic and then pull over on the side of the road where all this traffic's flying by us at 80 miles an hour. Hundreds of people have died in these traffic stops in the last few years. They're very dangerous. The cops don't do traffic stops because of traffic safety. I think if there was any correlation at all between traffic stops and traffic safety, I think I might actually agree in doing it, but there is no correlation. Like I always tell the same story, and I'm sure you guys have already heard it. Sorry, here it comes again. We had a new sheriff come to town, and he used to run the traffic bureau, and he said he was going to double the amount of traffic units and triple the amount of traffic tickets. He was going to incentivize the writing of traffic tickets. He was going to end these deaths in the county. And our deaths that year, that first year the sheriff was in office, the deaths went from 107 to 132. He actually saw growth bigger than the last 5 years. Why? Because there is no direct correlation. Actually, a lot of cops out on the road makes the roads more dangerous in many, many ways. I think the only thing they should be pulling cars over for is reckless driving. If what you're doing is reckless, that's a crime. You need to be pulled over right now. I have no problem with that. But they use it as an excuse to get in your car, get in your business, get in your wallet, get in your ID. That's what it's all about. The reason they incentivize all these traffic stops for the cops is because they, A, want the revenue from the tickets. B, they want more people in the criminal justice system, of course, because that's how they all make their money. From the judge on down to the clerk working at the substation overnight, that's how they all make their money, by entering and getting people in the system and they can't get out. And that's the bottom line. So the more tickets they write, the more revenue comes in, the more people get entered the system. The clerk has business, the prosecutor has business, the judge's office has business, the county clerk has business. Everybody's busy. The traffic guys look like they're doing their job. Everybody's busy. Everybody's busy. That's the government. And then so the next year they're like, look, we were busy all year. We need more manpower. Because remember what I always tell you guys. Government's number one job is to always be increasing the size and scope of the government. And the best way to do it when you're in the criminal justice system is arrest more people. They don't even necessarily need to be guilty or bad. They just need to be arrested. and pull them over, search their car, pull them over, check them for warrants, pull them over, you know, da-da-da. And what it does is they're using one thing for another. They're using traffic safety as an excuse to get in your car, your life, your wallet, your Fourth and your Fifth Amendment. It's disgusting. We shouldn't allow it, but we do. Why? Mostly because old people are all scared to death. They all drive around all day long scared to death, and they think that these cops are the only thing keeping them safe on the road. And they don't realize that the cops really don't do anything to make you safer on the road. It really doesn't work that way. The cops are only out there because they need to generate more revenue. They need to generate activity for the criminal justice system. That's the bottom line. Traffic stops lead to warrant arrests. Traffic stops lead to drug arrests. And you know what drug arrests lead to? Federal grant money. That's why they don't give a shit about your VCR. They don't get getting your VCR back after a burglary. I always use that old example because back in the old days, when I was a cop in the 90s, that's what got stolen all the time was the VCR. Now you can buy them for $20. Nobody would steal a VCR. But they don't care about getting your VCR back. They don't care about solving a rape or a murder. They don't care about any of that. What do they care about? Drugs. Why? Because drugs are always attached to federal grant money. Why does the federal government hate drugs? Because they hurt people? No! They hate drugs because it's a sale that's not being taxed. The whole reason there's a war on drugs, it's not because they're worried about you taking bad drugs. They're not worried about gang violence. They like gang violence because remember, that keeps people moving through the justice system. So basically the whole purpose of the whole thing with drugs is just we want to go out and make drug arrests. That way we qualify for the big grant next year. Then we get the big grant next year. We can hire 4 more drug enforcement cops. They can dress like a bunch of goons, go into war somewhere, and go out and terrorize families in the middle of the night with search warrants made up with informants. It's a terrible system we have because nothing we do is for the reasons we state. We don't pull over speeders because it's dangerous. We pull over speeders because we want arrests. We pull over speeders because we need to check your car. And the reason they prioritize a bag of weed over the burglary of your home is because the burglary of your home does not get any federal funding. It's just that simple. Man, this noise floor is bad. I had this problem fixed, I thought, and now the noise floor is just really bad again. That's a foreign station. The noise floor, everybody's wiped out. As you can see there on the needle, it's just over 9. So we're not going to hear anybody on there. I don't know. I had this thing down to where it was almost a zero noise floor. And I woke up this morning, walked out there, put the 20-meter beam back on, and it's been a high noise floor all morning. So it's something to do with that antenna setup or something. Listen, I'm going to Hamfest, guys. I'm going to Hamfest, and it's 5 weeks away. Hamcation is called. Hamcation. Orlando Hamcation. If anybody's going, I'd love to meet you there and walk around with you. Just let me know. Yeah, it's really cool. There's a lot of it's the third largest ham fest in the country, right after Dayton and Huntsville, and it is one hell of a deal. It really is. Yeah, just come right on over. It's perfectly fine. I do use, sometimes I will use the notch, and that does help. But it doesn't matter. You can't, no matter what I do, you're not going to blank it all out. It's just too high. Because I don't even see the people talking in the waterfall, really. I don't know. It could be the antenna run. It could be something. We reran the power wires, and that seemed to help. Joseph ran them up through the firewall. I don't bend in those ways anymore. But Joseph was able to run them through the firewall. And so my wires now come up through the middle of the car instead of around. I don't like anything on the outside. I had about 4 inches of wire that you could see on the side of my car. And I didn't like that. And I don't like doors and hoods and shit closing on my wires. So now the wires all run properly and all repaired, looking good. And but now I'm back to this just egregiously high noise floor. I don't know. I might order me a 10-meter ham stick. They're not that much. I might order me a 10 and a 15-meter ham stick. I think I'm giving up on the ATOS and the Tar Heel and all that. I don't know. I don't like them. I could never make them work. I can't get any SWR on them. And but these ham sticks do well. And I don't mind getting out and changing the antenna. It's really not that big a deal. Unscrew one, screw the other one, especially when it's on my hood or on my trunk. It's really not that bad at all. I can't believe these little antennas are sticking on the roof. They got the littlest teeny magnet you've ever seen in your life, and they're sticking on the roof. I can't believe it. Oh, really? That sucks. Where am I getting dinner? I have no idea. Before I left, Carr cooked me a huge, big breakfast in the middle of the day, and that was so good. I don't know. If I get hungry right before I get home, I'll stop and get a little chicken sandwich or something at Burger King. If not, I'm just going to drive on home. I'm probably fine. I really only need to eat one big meal a day. I usually eat two moderate-sized meals a day. And I'm not a big snacker. Not a breakfast person. I like breakfast food, but I like it at lunch or dinner. I don't, my stomach wakes up hours after I wake up. I'm very careful. I use cruise control, and I stay off the car in front of me. I've got the chat room, which I rarely do read, but I do glance over from time to time, and it's right next to my vision, so I can see it pretty easily. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I'm being very careful. The only thing I do when I'm driving is, like I said, I'll glance at the chat room as long as the car in front of me is out in front of me a ways. And then the only other thing I do is I'll turn the VIA phone knob and I'll make a call on the radio. But I don't log it or type, or I never try to do anything. You know, I may go over and click a button on a camera or something like that, but I really try not to use the devices at all while I'm driving. And if I do, I'm just glancing at it. I'm not actually manipulating it. That's the only way I can do this, because literally once I press go, the broadcast goes by itself. I don't have to do anything. And so I can talk and talk and talk until I have enough room in front of me, and things are calming down. Then I can take a look down and I can see, oh hey, there's a chat, and I can read what you guys put. It's on my tablet right here on my right. Yeah, the cats are missing me. I'm sure they are. I'm missing them. I'm literally a diehard cat person. I just love being around them. I love cats, and I love my cats specifically. And yeah, I just left them at home for 2 days by themselves. Now, that being said, my stepson goes by there every 12 hours, and inside, and that's how that goes. And he's good about that. He works in a pet store. I mean, taking care of. Now this guy in front of me is slowing down and slowing down and slowing down. He either needs to catch back up or get out of the fast lane. Digital billboards are becoming more and more popular. They had such a problem with the first runs of them because they would get the big squares that wouldn't work, and there was interfacing issues with all the different things, and they did have issues with it. But now we're getting to the point where they're starting to be able to put these things up, and they're lasting long enough that they can make some money on them. Our TV station got one of those long TV screens that goes all the way down one wall. And it's huge, and they just literally stand in front of part of the TV screen and do their stories. And and that thing was hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I was like, oh my God, dude, seriously. You don't even want to know what one of these new jumbotrons cost. I mean, we're talking, yeah, $1 million. More. This is your typical Tampa congestive slowdown right here. What it is there's nothing wrong, there's no wreck. It's just you've got people out in the left lane not cooperating, and people can't get around. And so everybody's slowed down. We're now doing below the speed limit, and just putzing along here. Yeah, I had fun hanging out with Bessie this weekend. He's a neat cat. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to do a sights and sound show tonight. This is simply a test. I need you guys to let me know if the signal goes into a rotating thing or whatever. I need you to let me know if it goes out. Let me know what's going on. Let me know how bad it is. You should get a good resolution. I'm really hoping that this is working, because I have to tell you guys, I've gotten frustrated because I've spent a lot of money trying to get shit going, and sometimes I spend the money and nothing happens. And so I'm finding now that if I spend more money and buy professional gear, I'm able to get it done. And so I'm trying to just save up and buy the real stuff. This piece of equipment here, this is professional quality shit right here, and it should work. I mean, I'm hoping you guys are getting a really clear signal. Yeah, the foliage here is green. It's green, and some of the stuff's kind of brown, but mostly green. We really don't have a color change season this far south. Once you get south of like Live Oak and I-10 and get down into the peninsula, it turns tropical, and that's it. You just don't get it. We don't have any hardwoods down here. Notice the forests aren't that tall. Look on both sides of the road. You can even tell by just looking at it that, yeah, those forests, they're big oak trees, and that's what most of these are, is oaks and pines. But they're not the big hardwoods. We don't have them down here. That's all oak. That's mostly all oak back in there. And it doesn't grow as tall, and and of course it doesn't, the oaks down here, they're evergreen down here. They do not change. They stay green all winter. Where when I'm up in the mountains, the oaks actually change beautiful colors. But down here, no. I mean, here we are, we're in January, coming up in January in a couple days. And everything's pretty much green. You're going to see a lot more brown coming because we're in a drought down here. A fairly bad drought, actually. They're talking about this being perhaps one of the worst droughts in the history since we've been keeping records. So that's interesting. This could literally be one of the worst droughts since record keeping began. We are already in a deficit of like 16 inches of rain. We were short coming out of last rainy. We're short coming out of dry season now. Or we're short coming out of rainy season. We were short coming into rainy season before. Now we're really short. We've got another rainy season starts here sometime between June 1st and July 1st. It depends on the climatology. See, this guy, he's just sitting here in the left lane. He's just sitting here. And he's let the cars all slide out in front of him now. And he's in La La Land. I dislike people like this. I can't believe people just purposely drive like this. There he goes. There he goes. He figured it out. It took a little while for Bucko to figure it out. Good going. Great going. Welcome to the world of the logical and reasonable. Jesus Christ. And then right back in the fast lane again. He's an asshole. He's an asshole. He wants to sit out in that fast lane and make him get out of the way. What an asshole to get back in that lane again. Jesus. See, someone needs to pull him over and punch his lights out. But I just don't operate that way. It's not my MO, if you will. Yeah, Texas is a lot like California. See, Florida, we range from in the panhandle, like very subtropical, to down in the Keys, which is pretty much completely tropical. But that's it. Florida's not that different from top to bottom, east to west. Texas and California, on the other hand, are two of the most climatologically diverse states in the Union. Texas has deserts, they have tropics, and they have woodland. They have all kinds of different regions all in one state. Of course, it's a big ass state. But they literally, you can visit a desert, and then you can go visit, on the next day in Texas, go visit a beach. There's not many places you can do that. There's a few in the Middle East. And California would be the other one, where you could do the beach in the morning, and you could go and snow ski in the late afternoon up in the mountains. It's kind of a neat thing when you think about it. Oh shit, full stop. I can't tell where to go. Anytime I come into a hard stop, I put my four-ways on, especially in this car, because the four-ways are independent of the brake lights. So I can make a lot more noise back there, let people know I'm stopping fast. I just hit the four-way button and let them blink for about 20 seconds until the people behind me see me. And I've had very good luck with that, and a lot of people do it. It's not just me. If your four-way flashing lights work using the same lights as your brake lights, then I wouldn't do it. However, if they operate independently like mine do in this one, then I turn them on. See, this whole slowdown is just because this guy's on the side of the road. There's really no reason for this slowdown at all. Jesus. For what? That's just a congestive slowdown. That's all it is. So anyway, all it takes is just one person to, or a flashing light or something. And everybody, I understand slowing down a little bit. I understand getting over to the left, but you don't need to slow down to half the speed limit if you're 3 lanes away. All right, so anyway, there we go. Boy, the sun's becoming a real murderous mess there. I have POTA, but I can't do anything with it because the noise floor is just off the chain right now in this car. I don't know what's changed. Doing 40 miles an hour on the interstate, and he thinks he's being safe when he's causing the largest hazard on the road. Yes, I'm going to be all set for hurricane season. I'm either going to be I'll either chase it, I'll go in the car and chase it, or I'm going to go set up cameras ahead of time and go back and cover it at the studio. It'll all depend on the time, the location, everything else. But I am set up to put out at least 2 portable cameras at this point. And I've got it. I could easily get up to 3 for under $100. I don't need a lot more. Um, I've got 2 spare jetpacks right now. I just have to put SIM cards in them. And I've got 2 or 3 cameras right now. I've got the weather boxes. I've got the attachment pieces for the poles, and I got 2 of them already built. I even got the stickers to go on the box with our names and stuff on them. So, everything's ready to go, pretty much. I could get it ready to go. And then this hurricane season, we had nothing. No hurricanes hit the United States this year. So, we don't have, we had nothing to cover. My goal, and it has been for a while, and we did this a couple of years ago, I want to get a working camera in an area that's experiencing the flooding. And we did. Put a camera right in front of my mother's house, and we watched the water come in 2.5 feet. So, or 2 feet, whatever it was. And so, it works. Now, next time, we're going to get it closer to the action. We're going to have multiple cameras. And then I'll be able to be back in the studio, and I'll be able to cover it live from there with all of our own cameras and stuff. Get up early in the morning. I am doing a Sights and Sound show tonight at 9 p.m. It's going to be an abbreviated show, probably an hour, maybe 90 minutes. I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I have to produce Daybreak from 6 to 9. And then when I get done with that, I go see my mom. We go to lunch. Then when I get done with that, I go back to work and I produce the afternoon show. Then when I get done with that, I drive home and I immediately produce the Sights and Sound show. So it's going to be 8+ hours of broadcasting for me tomorrow. It's going to be another very busy day. Why do we keep slowing down? What's going on? Get out of our way. That'd be an awesome idea. Wonderful idea. A 4Runner ain't running shit. Yes, we covered, we covered Hurricane Melissa striking Jamaica. And then Cuba, and then going into the Bahamas up there. We did cover that, and I think the coverage was excellent. We got a lot of good feedback from that coverage, and we got a lot of subs and a lot of support. And so that's what we do. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look at it, it's fortunate for everything else except my channel. That's the only storm we had was one, and I can live with that. I don't wish for the things. So, but that's all we had was the one, and it didn't. It technically hit Puerto Rico, or it came close to Puerto Rico, but it was really not a United States storm. It was a Jamaican storm. Jamaica took that one. That was a major Cat 5 that went up through there. And you know what's funny? Those trolls that kept coming in during the show and saying that look at the cameras, there's really no wind, this is all fake, they're making the whole thing up, there's no real hurricane. And then days later, I'm showing pictures of the rubble where a town used to be in Jamaica, and they're like, oh, that's from something else, that's not from the same place. It's like, give me a break, dude. Sometimes the ignorance on YouTube And I don't know if it's real trolls or just stupid people sometimes. Sometimes it's a lot, man. It's a lot to deal with. Idiots. Yeah, Jamaica took the worst. Yep. Yeah, we do hurricanes, tornadoes. Those are our specialties, actually. But any kind of natural disaster or civil unrest, we do all of it here. Look at that old camper, boy. That's an old one. Holy shit. Literally, that pole camper is almost as old as my mom. That's probably a late 40s or 50s model pole camper. Holy shit. That was made in the middle of the last century. Well, there goes an ambulance. And here we're stopping again, probably for nothing. Yep, it's for nothing. It's just congested. Alright, instead of congestive, I should say lack of cooperation. Okay. I guess I haven't heard a single thing in the chat room about the video, or about the consistency of the video or anything, so I assume that everything's running okay. I'm doing good on time. I really want to get home and relax for a few minutes and unload the car and hook everything up that I need to hook up, which is not very much. And just and get everything tested out and ready without a big rush at the end. One of these weekends I got home and it was like already 9 o'clock, and it sunk. And I really don't want to do that. So I purposely left 2 hours earlier than I did last time. So that way I would be arriving at my house at least 90 minutes before I have to go back on the air again. Oh, here we go. Now we're getting back up to speed again. At least I thought we were. All right, we are in Sarasota. Civil twilight. And if you guys have never heard the term civil twilight, it's the time that the government considers it to be dark. Your lights must be activated before each day's time of civil twilight. And you can actually look it up online. What is civil twilight for Fort Myers, Florida? And it will tell you. And that's the time that you have to have your lights on by, or you could get a ticket. I know it's semantics, and yes, it is. But there does need to be an absolute time And I know that if we ever did write that ticket, we would have noted. I didn't write a lot of tickets. I didn't believe in them. But if you wrote a ticket for that, you would find that you would need to write down that it was 12 minutes after civil twilight or whatever. And that's really all the evidence you need when you made the stop as compared to what civil twilight is. All right. Hey Junior, what's up, man? I'm still doing a sites later. I'm testing out this new internet box. Joseph helped me get it all hooked up. It's nice having smart friends. But it's all working. It's on the AT&T SIM right now. And we are locked in. We got 2 antennas on the roof. And so the signal is not having to broadcast out of the car, because it's literally broadcasting from antennas that are actually stuck on top of the roof. So it should really help. And I haven't heard a single thing from anybody in the chat room about a hiccup in the stream. I think for the first time I'll have a 2 hours uninterrupted stream without any problems. So again, I think we've got winner chicken dinner here. And when I go up to my cabin, I will put this in my cabin when I'm there. And then when I go out, I'll take it and stick it in the car. It's going to be a little bit of a pain in the ass, but that's how I'm going to have to do it. I'm eventually probably going to buy a set of antennas for the house and a set of more permanent antennas for the car. And then all I have to do is just switch the box out. Yeah, we're going to have a cold snap down here. No surprise to you guys, because you're going to get it too. This next cold front that's going to arrive here tomorrow is going to bring some, I'm not going to say unseasonably, because we're right in the middle of winter now, but it's going to bring some pretty cold temperatures. Central Florida is going to see mid to upper 30s. South Florida could inland areas could brush the upper 30s with 40s widespread all across South Florida. And it's going to be very cold in the evening. We've got one day in Fort Myers, our daytime high on Tuesday, 62 degrees. I know for a lot of you that seems like a warm day, okay? And I'm sorry, but for Florida, that's a freaking cold day. We rarely have days where we don't at least get up to 70. So we've had days before where it's 30 degrees at night, and then it gets up to 48 degrees during the day, and then back down to 30 again the next night. That happened in Christmas of 1992. It's a very rare event to have such cold temperatures down here. Our coldest temperatures in Fort Myers range from about 40 along the coast to about 35 inland. That's our average really cold night. And then usually about once a year, inland areas will get frost or a light freeze. That's it. We can go 2 or 3 years without frost on the windshield. Now Tuesday morning, I don't think it's going to be cold enough down here, but it may be in Central Florida. It may be cold enough for frost. Yeah, you know, Victor, antenna design is the most important thing in the world. These radios, we can't build radios anymore. We're not building radios. And the radios we're buying are great. They'll last forever as long as we take care of them. Where the skill comes in to ham radio is the antenna. A little bit in power systems, a little bit in grounding, a little bit in how you use the radio, a little bit in tweaking out the filtering and stuff. There's a lot to it. But I will tell you, the biggest part of the pie when it comes to ham radio, making it work, is the antenna. I always tell people in order of importance, it's antenna, 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 feed line, radio. And that's literally the truth. If you don't have an antenna, you don't even bother hooking the rest of it up. And but that being said, you can make an antenna out of just an old piece of speaker wire. You just got to do it right. You know, you can make a VHF throw antenna that you just toss up in a tree. And then you just pull it up to where the wire's hanging down vertically. Hey, here we go. It's a Jesus car. Jesus loves you. Are you ready? Is that the car? Is that the car we're supposed to get in? Did I die and go to heaven? What's going on? I guess they would call that a Jesus rap. I like it. I love people that go out and spread the word of what they believe in. I love it. Absolutely love it. Because them spreading the word of Jesus is no different than me spreading the word of conservatism or libertarianism, or someone else spreading the word of humanitarianism, or someone else spreading the word of... It doesn't matter. Spreading the word about what you believe in, that's conviction. That's good. That's positive. That's what we need more of in this world, is people standing up for what they believe in. It's time to say, look, we're done with compromise. I'm standing up for what I believe in. From now on, I'm going to be loyal to it. Building antennas is my favorite part of the hobby as well. I have built my biggest array that I built. I took PVC pipe and I took and made two 7-element beams, Yankee beams, out of two 8-foot-long PVC pipes, and it was 1.5 inches. And what I did was I drilled a hole, and I used a thing called ham tools, and you put in the frequency you want and how many what are they, reflectors, not reflectors, but directors that you put in the front. You put in how many directors you want, and then it tells you all the dimensions and where the directors need to be and where the reflector needs to be and everything. And then I drilled holes all the way through the PVC pipe, and I got aluminum. I've still got all this at home. It's hanging on the side of my shack. Aluminum wire, like that you would use for fencing. It's just aluminum metal stock. I got that, and I would cut it to the right length and feed it through the wires and put a little drop of silicone on there. And I made Yankees out of all this aluminum wire and a piece of PVC. And I made two of them. And I put them each on a stand individually, and I tuned them. And I made sure that the length was just right, and that they tuned out to 1-to-1. Oh, great. We've got something going on here. Shit. I don't know why it didn't reroute me. Shit. Damn this construction bullshit. We always joke around that antenna on the right there looks like it's missing the top half of it. Damn it. This sucks. I have slowdowns like this, because there'll be no reason for this slowdown. We'll get all the way to the other end, and there'll be no reason. It's just going to be just because. So anyway, I made 2 7-element Yagis, 5 directors, 1 driven element, and one reflector in the back. Once I tuned them both up to 1-to-1, then I built a crossbar that was exactly 1 wave wide, which is 2 meters, right? Because that's why we call it 2 meters. It was 1 wave wide, and I put the 2 Yagis vertically polarized, 1 bandwidth, 2 meters wide, the distance of the wave, and they both faced in the exact same direction. It was like a big H. When you looked up, it looked like an H with these 2 beams facing in the same direction with a cross beam, and then it went up a little higher, and I had a rope that came down to keep it all nice and straight. And I had that up for several years at just at about 28 feet. And because those 2 Yagis would work together, and because I had the length of the wire exact and everything, I was able to talk well over the horizon with this thing. I routinely got into Sarasota tower sites and stuff with it. It was kind of amazing. The 440 didn't work that well, but the 2 meter did. It did really good for 2 meter. I hear something beeping, and I have no idea what it is. Nothing's on over there. And I assume that we're good as far as no drops. It looks like it's been steady. Yeah, we had a warmer than normal Christmas because of the oscillation. There's about a 6-week oscillation with the jet stream, and we're experiencing that. We had 2 or 3 weeks of warmer temperatures. Now we're going to have 2 or 3 weeks of colder than normal temperatures, and it will swing back and forth. There's enough time in the season for one more good swing. So we'll probably have a couple weeks of really cold, a couple weeks of changeable, and then a couple weeks of warmer again. And then probably by the end of March, we'll have one more nice cold snap. So you can almost plan this stuff when you look at how that oscillation works. Notice there was never any reason for that slowdown. It was literally just people not going. and then you just cut it to length. Now let's say you don't have an antenna analyzer. Oh my God, I don't have an antenna analyzer. What am I going to do? I'm not going to be able to analyze it. It's no problem. You just do it the old-fashioned way. You measure it. You literally get out a measuring tape, you look up what the measurement is, and you cut it. And that'll get you by until your friend comes over with his meter or whatever. It'll be good. You know, hey, it's one of those things. You got to, you got to look at the advantage. Like, if you're going to build a Go kit, you want to build a kit that you can take with you, like at the end of the world type thing. We talked about how you should always have a couple of these Baofeng radios with extra batteries in your go bag, and every 6 months you should pull them out and charge them. But along with these radios, there's something that you should have in building or in a metal building. You're not going to get any output or input with this antenna inside a building, and you throw it up over the tree, and when it goes over the tree and it hangs there, part of it goes up and part of it goes down, and it's a dipole antenna, and the part that goes up is attached to the rope. So as long as the rope or the string is holding the thing up off the ground, it's hanging with the positive up and the negative down. You can even put a little weight on the negative if you want to help throw it over the tree or to hold it straight. But that's all you do. And now you take that and you can take some thin SMA or a thin coax that goes to an SMA plug that plugs into your portable. And now you've got the antenna out there doesn't even have a connector. It's simply just a piece of coax, and one end is cut off. And that end makes the antenna on the other end. You've got two pieces of antenna, or however you're doing it. And so when you make your throw antenna, it will fold up in the back because there's no actual antenna rail, aerials or anything. All it is, which is really cool, all it really is just wire. It's just a piece of wire and another piece of wire. So you can fold that wire all up and stick it down in the bottom of your go bag. And now when you're somewhere and you cannot reach the party you're trying to reach, or you cannot hear the net that you're trying to listen to or whatever, you can take that antenna out and run outside and toss it up over anything so that it's hanging free, and then run back inside and hook that up to the top of your radio, and suddenly now you have a base radio with 5, perhaps 10 times the range, depending on how high you get it and how clear from obstruction that you can get it. It makes a big difference. Buffering a bit, that just sucks. Yeah, I haven't built one of those yet, horizontal loop. I've built some to length dipoles. I've actually done I've done a 40 wire and a 20 wire cut to length. Joseph just took delivery of 2 balance. He's making wire antennas. He's got some woods behind his house, and he's literally stringing up wire antennas in the woods. And you can make them out of a block of wood and they work pretty good. However, if you really want high performance, you want to buy a 1-to-1 balun and stick on there. They make different things for different applications. They make something called an un-un, which basically a balun means it's balanced, unbalanced, and a un-un is both unbalanced. I don't know enough, and I'm not going to try to bullshit you on it, but I do know that if you put a balun on there, it will balance the feed it'll balance the feed, and you'll not get all that radio frequency coming back on the jacket of the antenna line, and that's really what we need, because that's what kills us out there. This is ridiculous. What are we doing, guys? Yeah, you can do all kinds of different J-poles. You can take those old style antennas like find those really long, and you can actually make different kinds of antennas out of those that you can then deploy in the field because they're collapsible. There's a lot of things that you can make out of just simply pieces of wire that can go in your Go kit and that are there when you need them. This is ridiculous. There's some drunk up here in a pickup truck. I gotta get around him. Everybody's going around him. I get so sick of this shit. He's over here in the fast lane going slow. Jesus Christ. Why can't people just cooperate? Why is he over here in the left lane? Asshole. Choco and shithead. Yep, I love me some building antennas too. What else have I built? I built some ground planes. I built some dipoles. My first antenna was a 2-meter dipole that I built literally with 2 screws and a piece of pipe. There is some neat things you can do with antennas. And what's neat, if you download that app that I told you about, Ham Radio Toolkit, it's an app called Ham Radio Toolkit, and that will show you all the dimensions for every kind of antenna you want to build. You just put in the frequency, you put in the type of the antenna you want, and then once you select the antenna you want, it'll ask you for the frequency. It may ask you a few other things like how many reflectors do you want, if it's a Yagi and stuff like that. And then once you answer the 2 or 3 questions, it will generate for you a picture and show you what all the dimensions are on the antenna. Because as you know, with an antenna, dimensions are everything. And you want it really to be cut exactly right, if at all possible. Always cut long and then trim. If you think it needs to be 4 foot wide, make it 4 foot 3 inches wide. And then test it. Test it with your rig or test it with your SWR meter. However you test it, have your buddy come over and test it. And then cut yourself down to the frequency that you want. The last thing you want to do is cut it and you end up too short. Because if let's say you test it, all right, and you think, okay, it needs to be this long, and you cut it, and then when you test the frequency's too high. What that means is you cut it too short. What if that happens? You're screwed. You have to replace the wires or add length. Neither one is a good idea, a good thing. And so what you want to do is cut it long, hook it up, get it ready, and then when you're ready to test it, begin cutting it down until you get just the right SWR. That's the way to do it. Oh, that's funny. How long do the coat hangers need to be to work on 40 meters? About 20 meters. A dipole is a half wave, so each side would be 20 meters long. That'd be about 60 feet in either direction. Now 2 meter, again, Ham Radio Toolkit. Look it up. It's an app called Ham Radio Toolkit. It's green. The logo is green with a Yagi periodical antenna on it. When you find that, look it up and pull up whatever antenna you want to make and put the frequency in. I can't tell you the length because you really want to cut it directly for the frequency you're using it on. I normally cut my VHF stuff. I cut it to 2 meter call, 156.2. So just put in 156.2 and it'll give you the exact measurements that you need. What are we doing? This is ridiculous tonight. All right, so we're about 40 minutes away. Not doing too bad. I'm trying to figure out if in 40 minutes I'm going to be hungry enough to stop and buy me some French fries or something to nibble on. I'm really not hungry right now, but if I don't get something to eat right in about an hour, just before I get to my house in about 45 minutes, then that'll be it. I do have food at home. I could always make it after the show, but I don't want to do that because after the show I need to go straight to bed. What is this guy doing? Where do you think you're going, bucko? Look at him. He's going to shove it in there. What a piece of shit. See, this idiot in front of me shouldn't have let him in. I don't let people do that. I close the gap on him. He needs to wait in line like the rest of us, but he's more impatient than me. He won't wait in line. See, there he is right there. He didn't get anywhere. All that fancy driving and he didn't get anywhere. The best thing to do is just get in the left lane and go. And if you find out that you're the one behind the car causing the problems, then start harassing the shit out of him. That's what you have to do. That was him behind us there. Now he's back over in the center lane, and now he's going to get stopped again here. See, by me just staying in the left lane, he has moved lanes 20 times in the last 3 minutes, and all I've done is stay in the left lane, and I'm still ahead of him. Now he's back over in my lane, 2 cars back. And now I get my opening. All right, so right now we're in Northport. Northport used to be known nationwide for their nasty cops and pulling people over for everything. They've chilled over the years. They realized that moniker doesn't make crime go down, and it also doesn't make tourism go up. Nobody wants to fly to Nazi Germany for their vacation. All right, the sodium vapor lights are coming on. We still have some exits down here that were not destroyed by hurricanes, and those still have the old orange sodium lights. A lot of people don't realize the different kinds of lights that are out there. Started out with Thomas Alva Edison creating the incandescent bulb, a bulb where we use a medium stretched across 2 contacts inside a vacuum to create light. However, incandescent bulbs were so incredibly inefficient, 90% of the energy used is converted into heat or other non-used forms of energy. And less than 10% of the energy used was actually producing visible light. Actually, it's less than that. And so what ended up happening is over the years, we used incandescent for many, many years, for 20, 30 years. And then they invented fluorescence. And fluorescence is a little bit different. We're passing an arc inside a tube that has basically phosphorescent material on the inside, and it creates a glow. And that's fluorescent lighting. Fluorescent lighting became big because it was only a third as much to operate, quite a bit more efficient than incandescence. And so a lot of people immediately started switching to fluorescent because, like, in a grocery store, to run incandescent lighting was extremely expensive and even a little bit dangerous with all the heat that they produce and all of the high voltage wiring necessary in the old buildings. So when fluorescence came along, stores quickly embraced fluorescent lighting, and we've got what we see in a lot of stores till today, the long fluorescent lights that go all down through the whole store. Then they created they created mercury vapor. Now, mercury vapor works good. A lot of fluorescent tubes and stuff use some mercury vapor. And they started creating high-intensity discharge bulbs in the 70s that worked on mercury vapor. And if you remember, if you're old like me, and you remember the old street light in front of your house when you were a kid, it kind of had a greenish color. Didn't look like it does today. And that's because mercury vapor burned with a slight greenish tint. There's none of them left today, you can tell, because you would be able to see the greenish tint. Then after that, not long after that, maybe 10 years or so, they invented sodium vapor. And they started out with low-pressure sodium. Low-pressure sodium lights were really big bulbs, and they created a lot of light, but the light was dark orange, and it was kind of hard to see by. And they really didn't like lighting highways with it because they were afraid that it didn't do it justice to drivers. So low-pressure sodium was relegated to things like fairgrounds and old car lots where they had to protect all the cars overnight with really bright lights. You started to see a lot of the low-pressure sodium. Wasn't long after that, though, they found a way to use high-pressure sodium. Once we went to a high-pressure sodium, everything changed. Because high-pressure sodium, that's the lighter orange color that's still prevalent today. We just passed lights back there that are high-pressure sodium vapor. Those bulbs last a long time, and they get really good gas mileage. That's probably the one thing that's really notable about high-pressure sodium is the fact that it gets really good gas mileage. The bad thing about high-pressure sodium, unfortunately, is that it puts out an orange light. It's not white. And a lot of people didn't like that orange light. So, here we go. We got a guy in the fast lane not getting over. It's amazing to me. So anyway, the high-pressure sodium took the world by storm, and next thing you know, satellite images were looking orange. There was so many orange lights up and down the highways and the byways of the United States that when you looked at a satellite image, you could see that most of the roads were orange. Some were kind of green, but most were orange. And that was the era of sodium vapor. Then finally they come out with metal halide. Now, metal halide is good because it was more of a bluish white color instead of the orange. But it was more of a bluish color, and a lot of people didn't like it. They felt it was ugly, the glare was bad, and they didn't much like it. However, metal halide got just as good a gas mileage almost as the orange ones, the sodium vapor. So metal halide became big with car lots where you want to see the color of the car. Or they became big in restaurants where you wanted to look nice in the parking lot, people pulling in to, a Red Lobster or something, you want it to look consistent. The orange lights continued to dominate on the highways because they lasted the longest, they were the cheapest to operate, and the government really didn't care if you had to stare at orange lights or blue lights. They really didn't give a shit. So that's how that ended up being. So, finally, while all this other stuff was being created, the last 2 or 3 I mentioned to you, they also created a new light bulb for the home called the CFL, or the Compact Fluorescent Light Bulb. The CFL light bulbs were okay. They were good because they brought your incandescent lighting bill down about 70%. That's pretty good. The bad part was, if you broke one, they would emit mercury vapor, which was very, very bad to breathe in. And so they're kind of a hazard. They're kind of disappearing. I don't even know if you can buy CFLs anymore. I didn't look, but I'm not sure if you can even buy CFL bulbs anymore. I don't think you can. And so CFLs got us through a gap there, but eventually LED lights. LEDs, which have been around since the 70s, they invented the light emitting diode, what they call the indicator style or quality bulb. Those were used for many years. Those were the dull green and the red light that are in your VCR, or that were, you still see today and stuff. It's just a little light that sits there and lets you know if the device is on or off or not. That's what they call an indicator grade light. Okay. Now, about 20 years ago or so, they invented the illuminator grade light. And the illuminator grade light was something very different. This light was 10 to 100 times brighter, and just riding down the fast lane because he's an asshole. Anyway, whatever. Once they developed these lights, they were like, look at this, we can make a red light, a blue light, a green light, and we can make them really, really bright. So right off the bat, we started seeing traffic lights. Because I don't know if you realize it or not, traffic lights burn a lot of electricity, or at least they used to. Because you would have a white light bulb and then you'd have a red lens. Well, that red lens would cut down the light coming out by 80%. Which means you had to run like a 200-watt light bulb in there in order for the light to be bright enough for people to see it. Traffic light systems used to cost thousands of dollars a year in electricity. Now they just cost a couple $100 a year in electricity because of LED lighting. So the colored lighting became big, and this lighting, it became a thing all across the country, and everybody started buying like for discos and stage lighting and wash lighting and all these different applications. But the one thing they didn't have that we needed, was the actual white. We needed white light, and there was no longer any way to get the white light other than they tried to mix the red, the green, and the blue together. If you take red, green, and blue and you mix them together, it does make white. The problem is it doesn't make a consistent white. And also, it's kind of weird. It gives you a weird coloring modeling effect. And so it didn't really take off. But not long after that, the scientists realized, hey, all we have to do, literally, all we have to do is make a blue LED light and then stretch a yellow phosphorescent material over the top of the blue light. Once we do that, now what you've done is the blue light will create a glow, and the phosphorescent light will glow through, the blue light will flow through the phosphorescent material. As the blue light goes through the phosphorescent material, it makes it glow yellow. Once it makes it glow yellow, now what do you have coming through? You have blue and you have yellow. If you have blue and yellow, you have white, because yellow is red and green mixed together. So red, green, blue, you've got your white. And by doing this process, we get a much cleaner white light. by varying the frequency, by varying the frequency of the blue light, or by varying the color of the phosphorescent material, we can adjust the light and make it more institutional, or however, whatever kind of light we're looking for. So that's why when you go buy a light bulb now and you bring it home and it doesn't match the other light bulb that you have in the other lamp, that's because you failed to look at what the color temperature of the bulb is. Bulbs now come in flavors. You have to think of bulbs like ice cream now. Used to be, a light bulb was a light bulb. You walked in, what would you like, sir? I'd like a light bulb. Okay, no problem. Now, it's totally different. Light bulbs now come with a menu. What would you like? Sunlight? Daylight? Blue light? Would you like institutional light? Would you like warm cabin light? Would you like sunset type lighting? What do you want? Because white now comes in 50 colors. I love that. These bulbs I have at home, I can set them to where at sunrise they will go through the color phases that the sun goes through during sunrise and sunset and all different. It's really cool. So what ends up happening now is you've come home and you've got two different color bulbs. What can you do? Well, there's several things you can do. Number one, you have to replace the bulb. Take one of the bulbs and go use it somewhere else. Then find out what the temperature of the other bulb is and go make sure that you buy another bulb that's the proper temperature. If it's 5,000, buy another one that's 5,000. If it's 12,000, buy 12,000. And then that way they'll look the same. Let's say you don't like the color of your lights. You know, hey, I'm not much on the color of my lights. I really wish that I could get a more like cabin glow. Then go into the store and look on the wall, and there's a chart right there, and buy one that's more on the yellow side. Let's say you've got a garage where you work on cars, and you want it to be institutional white. I mean hospital bright. You want it to be so bright in there you couldn't possibly lose anything. Then you want to go the other way. You want to buy stuff that's institutional, stuff that's almost blue.
6.4 miles. Exit right to exit 158. County Road 762. Cleaners Grade for North Fort Myers, Cape Coral.
That's pretty much how that works. So, you want to always buy the right kind of lights. You know, what always gets me is I'll pass a condominium and it looks beautiful. All the lights are the same. It's clean. Everything looks good. And then you pass the next condominium and what do you see? Every porch light is a different color. Some are yellowish, some are blue, some are white. And the reason for that is because the maintenance man's an idiot. And he doesn't understand that part of his job is to pick a standard temperature for his building. And then everything he orders from his vendor needs to be that exact same color temperature. And then the next time he replaces bulbs, they'll all look the same. There you go. And LED light actually only uses between 10 and 11% of the electricity that incandescent lights would use. So in other words, in a matter of 20 years, as the demand on electricity has gone up, more houses, more air conditioners, more people needing this, more people needing electricity. As those demands have gone up, the demands have also come down because we are doing things much more efficiently. The new air conditioners we get, much more efficient than the old air conditioners. The new stoves, a little more efficient than the old stoves. So each thing we buy is more efficient now. And as we buy things that are more efficient, we get better gas mileage. Not only is our light bulbs 90% more efficient, okay, but everything else in our house is more efficient as well. That little orange clock that used to sit by your bed when you were a kid used to put out a horrible electromagnetic field. A horrible field. And it would take up all kinds of electricity. You have no idea. And now your little digital clock that you buy now, it can run all year for 12 cents. Just a little example like that. A big spotlight that used to light up your backyard would cost you $80 or $90 a year in electricity. That same light today in LED would only cost you $35 or $40 probably. It's just a huge difference. And that's what's really cool about it. Lighting has come a long way, and a lot of people don't understand all the different steps and stages that we went through looking at the lighting process over the years, and all the different changes. I mean, just to think back 75 years ago, the street out front was lit by a 100-watt light bulb hanging over the road in big cities and stuff. It was literally a shop light hanging over the road with a 100-watt bulb screwed in it. And then over the years, we've got what we have today, which if you look out the window right now here, we're in a truck stop. And you can see it's just a sea of high-pressure sodium lights. Those are the orange ones. All right, I'm going to be ending this here in about 10 minutes. And then I will be back on tonight for the Sights and Sounds of Earth. It's 6:30 now. I should be home about 7. And that's nice. That's going to give me a little bit of time to get everything going and restart everything and relax. I turn her on because I like to see the ETA, but I don't need her telling me where to go. It is what it is. I think some men feel better if they're sitting in a car and some woman's telling them what to do. I'm not sure.
Exit 158, County Road 762, Tucker's Brae toward North Fort Myers, Cape Coral. Then stay to the right to County Road 762 west toward US 41.
Okay, if LED is bad on your eyes, you need to keep looking, okay? There's several things. Number one, cheaper LED lighting. Cheaper LED lighting will fluctuate with the frequency in the 60 hertz. It'll fluctuate at 60 cycles a second. If it does that, it will create an issue with some people's eyes. You can buy bulbs that will not do that will even that out, and they won't fluctuate like that. Also, you need to go with you want to go with lower temperatures. You want to go with lights that are more orange and yellow and not the bluish and white ones. That's another thing. If you end up with an institutional light bulb in your bedroom, it's just going to be uncomfortable. You want something that's like sunlight, that's gentle on your eyes, and that's what I suggest. You should be able to get incandescent bulbs for the. I wouldn't go out and hoard incandescent bulbs at this point. If you want to keep using them, say in another 10 years, there may come a time where you want to put 30 or so of them away, but I don't think it's a big deal. You'll always be able to use them, and I will tell you, it's not that big a deal. If you're in a cold environment, they actually help warm your house, so it's not bad. Now, when you're down here in Florida, it's a direct drain on your electric bill because your air conditioner removes the heat out of the house, the bulb puts the heat back in, and then the air conditioner has to remove the heat yet again. And so it becomes kind of an issue. Boy, you can tell it's Sunday night. People are driving like they're on the way to a funeral or something. Tango Bravo. That's right. That used to be the code for I'm eating at Taco Bell. Run for the border. Bong. I do love Taco Bell. I'm not getting it tonight though because it's out of the way. I think I'm going to stop at Burger King maybe and just get a chicken sandwich or something. I don't know. I'm really not hungry, but if I don't get something now, I won't eat till tomorrow after the morning show. So I'm probably just going to get something to nibble on, maybe some fries or something. I might, you know what they got here? They got little mozzarella sticks, and they've got fries, and I might just get like mozzarella sticks and fries to nibble on. What are we doing? What's going on? We're literally like, this is a 65 mile an hour highway here. Yep, it's that freaking van up there holding things up. It's got a bottleneck. Bastard. People have no idea. They're just inconsiderate and they don't care. It looks like a work van. If I can find a phone number, I'll call his boss. I cannot stand people that ride in that left lane. And now we're all going to have to go around him. Here we go. In some countries, the fast lane is on the right. Because it's like, I don't know how you can drive here every day on these roads every day and not understand how it works. It's so simple. So incredibly simple. And then the guy behind me with the high beams on. Here we go with that. What I normally do when I get a guy behind me with the highs on, I get over, I let him go by, and then I get right up his ass with my highs on. That's probably what I'll do with this asshole. He's literally right up my ass with the high beams on. Sometimes they think, well, the headlights are just so bright nowadays, you know. And so this guy's just riding around with his high beams on, and nobody's really saying anything to him about it. Nobody's flashing their lights at him. Nobody's doing anything about it. That's where everything goes after a hurricane. They'll bring in millions of metric tons of waste.
Many thanks, sir. Sorry to say. Thank you, sir. What is your Alpha Victor Juliet? United Kilo 4?
I don't think this guy's Boda. I was gonna respond to him, but I don't think he's Boda. I don't know what event he's doing.
Okay, Victor Oscar, right, United Kilo. Thank you, one, you 599. Roger, my friend. Thank you so much for the contact, sir. Let me see it. WA, please. Okay, WA, the Foxtrot Alpha X-ray. You
All right, guys, listen, I'm gonna go ahead and call it. I'm getting ready to turn down here and give me something. So I'm gonna let you guys go. It's been my pleasure broadcasting to you this afternoon. I'll be back this evening at 9 o'clock. Hey, the Lone Silencer, what's up, buddy? Yep, I just drove back from Tampa, 9 p.m. Eastern. I will be back for the Sights and Sounds of Earth right here on Starship Adventures. You guys, thank you for being along for the live drive today, and we'll see you tonight. Also, I just want to mention, as I'm trying to mention before every broadcast or during every broadcast, we will be on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, 9 p.m. Eastern. So both days, I will be on with a regular show. On New Year's Eve, we will have an extended show, and we will go at least past midnight.
In half a mile.
And
Turn left.
there is a number of threats out there that's going on for terrorism. There's been several big plots that have been foiled, and so we don't really know what's going to happen over New Year's. There's a pretty good chance that it'll just be a regular New Year's, but we don't know. So we're going to be geared up to handle whatever comes in.
Turn left on Del Prado Boulevard.
This looks like a Charlotte County cop. Punta Gorda Police. This is something that really, to quote Peter Griffin, this really grinds my gears. I cannot stand when cops, they live 50, 60, 70 miles from where they work, and they still get to drive their car home.
1.7 miles.
He's driving his car
Turn
home.
right on Barbie Lane.
Punta Gorda's 40 miles away from here, but he's driving his car home. He don't give a shit. It's your gas, right? You don't give a shit. They'll drive it all over the place. They don't care. I can't stand that. I don't think cops should be allowed to take their car home unless they live right in or near the district where they're protecting. And that's because they're on call. If they're not on call, if you're driving that car 50 minutes away from where you work, then you're not on call. If I call you at 2 in the morning and say, look, I need you, we've got a big situation,
Then turn left.
you're an hour away. What good if by the time you get dressed, you're an hour and 20 minutes away? What good are you going to be? So I don't think cop cars should not be taken more than 5 or 10 miles outside of the district, period. It just shouldn't happen. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to see you guys in 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 23 minutes on the Sights and Sounds of Earth coming up. This has been a live drive presentation here on Starship Adventures. My name's Ian. Thank you for being along for the adventure, and we will see you guys next time right here on the Sights and Sounds of Earth here in about 2.5 hours. We'll see you then. Everybody have a good one out there, and we'll see you next time.